If approved, this is what the airport terminal will look like. It comes equipped with closed-in parking, two-level curbside pickup and drop-off areas, and more food and retail options. Earlier today, I spoke with the managing director for Edgemoor, the company that was selected to build the single terminal. So first of all, many of us have seen these renderings of the proposal, of what a new KCI would look like. Let's talk about the inspiration for the design. Where did you find inspiration? Did it come from some other airports in our country or other places?
So the inspiration for us was really to want to make an airport that Kansas Cityans would be proud of and that they recognize when they come to this airport, it reflects Kansas City and its core values. So a couple of things that we put into the renderings. First, to recognize the topography of this part of Missouri, we have the rolling hills sort of the roof line as you've seen. When you come inside the facility, the connector that goes from the front of the terminal to the back of the terminal, sort of a grand boulevard, we put that two-story fountain right in the beginning as soon as you walk in to recognize Kansas City as the city of fountains. And then we have sprinkled throughout places to recognize the history of Kansas City. So we have an homage to 18th and Vine, where we're going to have pictures of the great jazz musicians from the early turn of the century, Negro League baseballs, things like that. The other piece that was really important to us was to recognize Kansas City's known as the smartest city in the country based on its SmartPort initiative. And so we're trying to make the airport the smartest airport in the country by bringing in various technologies in order to make it very sophisticated from a technology perspective.
And I think that all sounds great to a lot of people, and some of those design aspects look great. But one of the biggest concerns people have is the convenience aspect.
Sure.
People love that you can get in and out of the current KCI. What are some things you implemented into the design that can keep the convenience so that people don't have to be worried that they're going to have to spend hours and hours getting in and out?
Sure. So a couple things we did to make sure, because convenience is something we've heard in anybody in any group we've talked to, was first, Kansas City is the only airport in the country that has arrivals and departures on the same level. So you have all that traffic mixed together plus the buses. So the first thing we did is in our proposals, we have the departures and arrivals separated on two different levels. So instantly you have 50% of the traffic on one level, 50% on the other, so that should be more convenient. Secondly, we have a parking garage right across the street, just like exists today, but with about 50% more parking spaces than exist. So if you're traveling, whether on vacation or for work, it should be very easy to find a parking spot. We've added in moving walkways so that people can, if they don't feel like walking, they can just sit and relax and take a moving walkway to make convenience. The last piece we did is that we have a single consolidated security line versus the multiple security lines that exist today.
And I have to interrupt because I think this is where people think they're going to run into it not being as convenient, because I think some people think they like having the separate security lines, but you would argue it's more convenient just to have the one.
Sure. And what we've seen in studies show that when you have one single line with sort of the snaking back and forth, you actually move through faster than you do in multiple different lines. So we think it'll be more convenient and faster for passenger throughput.
Okay. So I read the timeline for this. If it passes, November of 2021, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you think that's really feasible?
I do. I mean, our schedule currently has, assuming the referendum passes next week, working on design throughout the spring, the environmental work. We would get to what they call financial close, meaning we've finished negotiating the contracts, we put the financing in place by next summer. We'd start construction in the summer and early fall, and then we'd be done by November of 2021.